Hello, Simon Rainier, Longsword out of Kamloops, British Columbia, and I am wearing a sword. Historical European martial arts is in a really weird place in terms of sort of its presence in the world sporting stage, if you will. There's a lot of discussion back and forth about, is it a sport, is it a martial art, should it be in the Olympics? No, it should not. And that kind of thing. And we also have a lot of really different rule sets here and there as well. There's no one standard tournament rule set. There's no one standard tournament equipment. You look at modern Olympic fencing, for example, and if you saw even a fraction of the customization that people do in Olympic fencing, there would be people shocked and appalled. Now, we do still have a little bit of that. I have heard people railing against painted masks and whatnot. And personally, I love painted masks. I think it's great. And bright colors. There's a guy who does tournaments in a bright orange jacket, and I think it's fantastic. My jacket, which you will probably have seen at some point, is bright blue. I have two of my students just got their own jackets. One's kind of a burgundy, the other one's a forest green. Lovely things, love colors, love personalization. But that's not really what we're here for today. We're here to talk about the sword themselves. Now, in a tournament context, there's a lot of advantages to the fetters people use, which are really, really long. They come up to almost my chin in some cases I've seen. And I'm not a little guy, I'm 5'10", so I'm fairly average height. But the point I want to make is I wouldn't want to carry that with me everywhere. This Longsword, which is the Purple Heart Tech Fetter, with the wheel pommel, because wheel pommels are superior, is about as long a sword as I would ever want to wear. It comes down almost to the ground, not quite, and the pommel itself doesn't come quite up to my armpit. From having experience wearing other kinds of swords, even something this size gets awkward very, very quickly. If you have to do a lot of stairs, forget it. Just walking down the stairs, the tip bounces on the stairs, gets stuck, horrible things happen, tremendously awkward. Having said that, if I were to go into a sword fight with someone, I would probably, knowing I'm going in advance, want a longer sword, because length provides a great deal of advantages. But is that the correct thing to do? I'm not really sure, honestly. Personally, I like training with and fighting with a sword that I would be comfortable wearing. Now, there's a lot of good information, period artwork and everything that depicts people like carrying their swords, which is definitely an option. In Fiore, the sword in some sections is depicted as being carried, and the belt is sort of wrapped around the scabbard, and they just kind of are carrying the sword as they go about their day. And I totally get that, because again, swords are awkward to wear. However, it is a certain level of convenience if you want to do hands-free. The other advantage of a sword of this length, as opposed to a much longer length, is I can get it in and out relatively easily. I don't have to stretch and reach to get the sword out of my scabbard. I don't have a scabbard for this sword as of yet. I do like scabbards. I plan on making scabbards, but I don't have one yet. So, that's one, for me, solid reason why this proper length of sword, I think, is the way to go. I'm more interested in training this as a martial art than a sport. So I want a sword that, conceivably, I could carry with me on a day-to-day basis, because swords were partially used for self-defense, and a weapon you cannot carry is not a particularly good self-defense weapon. So, the other advantage of this sword is, if we look at a later period source, George Silver, he has a recommendation for the proper length of sword, where basically if you hold a dagger up in this hand, you should be able to move the sword tip right behind it, which, as you can see, this sword is a very good length for me. I could maybe get away with another inch without this being uncomfortable. This does a couple things. First off, it makes it so you can wear it without having too much awkwardness. Secondly, if you grab someone, you're still in a position where you can effectively threaten them with the point of your sword. In Fiore, of course, this is important because there's a lot of grappling. But I would argue it's equally useful in pretty much any system of actual combative swordplay. So, this is the length of the sword. I like the blade length, I believe is around 36 inches. I don't know what that is in metric. I'm a bad Canadian in that sense, that in a lot of things I prefer to use imperial. But, anyway, first thing I do when I pick up a sword is wiggle it around behind my thumb and see if I can do it. Absolutely the first thing. There's the cold steel Italian longsword, which one of my students owns. Decent little chopper for what it is. It's, I think, 3 or 4 inches shorter than this, so first thing I picked up, it's a little short for what I like. Still a fine sword. My sharp longsword is almost exactly the same measurements as this, just with a shorter grip, because it's not built for the fencing gloves. But, I mean, this is a perfectly serviceable length of grip for even unarmed stuff. So, one of the things I want to do in the future is host a tournament where you have to run some sort of obstacle course that requires both your hands with the weapon you choose to use before doing it. And the faster you get through it, the more bonuses you get. Maybe like every 10 seconds you get an extra point or something like that. I don't know. Haven't really ironed out the details, but I want to encourage people to use a sword that they could carry with them and do semi-athletic stuff. Something to consider if you're getting into looking at purchasing a sword, looking at doing this kind of stuff, is that important to you? Is it important to you that you could conceivably wear your sword? It is important to me. It doesn't have to be important to everyone. If you just want to go out there and win tournaments, yeah, get a longer sword. There's a longer sword that you can realistically handle. Reach is always an advantage. But if you want a sword that you would be happy to wear, maybe look at something a wee bit shorter. Thank you.